I'm gonna give you a warning because I'm gonna start talking, hopefully for only 3 minutes, because I know people probably would rather just see me get to work. But just to give you a brief synopsis, this undiagnosed car that originally came in cost this guy $600. That for parts that he didn't need, wound up replacing the timing belt and water pump. So here's the water pump, and it looked like it was replaced before, but it was a speculation on his behalf, and I gave him the disclaimer before he brought it over, well, got it towed here, that I'm not responsible for anything that happens with the car that was improperly assessed, and we was on the same page. So I put a water pump and time belt on it as he requested, and $600 later it didn't fix it. So I got to fill it up and thinking it was going to work, and start spewing out from the front here. So this is why the vacuum, well, the smog pump is taken out, and some of the accessories are taken out. Now this car does have quite a bit of rust on it, as you will see when we get a little closer. But simply put, it was improperly diagnosed. Put a water pump on it. Now I'm taking off this pipe down here. It's like a bypass pipe that goes from the water pump out toward, look like the heater core in the back over here, loops around from the front of the block, off to the side over the transmission bell housing, up to the back there. So simply put, we're gonna replace this pipe. I found one at the dealer for $140, I want to say, from Volkswagen. It's gonna take 2 days to get here, but I'm hoping that when I pull this off, it's not the actual pipe that's leaking or is compromised and you got like a pinhole from rust, because this car does have quite a bit of rust on it. It's not terrible for the North Carolina climate, but it's like it's been sitting up, and rust is like cancer, it will start spreading. So we'll see when we get that off. So I'm sure the O-ring is just leaking, but at the moment what I do have off is, of course, this smog pump, this vacuum pump here. I have the bracket that it came with. It just kind of rested in there. It wasn't connected to it. The housing just sat in there the best it could. And I took the ignition coil off. So, Volkswagens, you got to use these hex sockets, not sockets, but these hex bit. And this is it's a 5mm hex. And there's another one here that I had to use. I had to use a 10mm also. And we have it's a 6mm. So I got a 6 and a 5 to get this far, and a 10mm. And everything seemed to be going pretty smooth so far. I haven't had one of those strip on me. So what I've been getting the socket in the hex in there and knocking it in there to loosen the threads up, and getting it seated properly, and breaking it loose with just the socket wrench. So it's been working out with a ratchet. So let's go ahead and continue on. Like I said, I got the pump out. I got the coil out, which was 3 of those hex fasteners. And we're just getting the bracket that support that ignition coil. And I'm just going to lay that off to the side, and then we'll just get all the other accessories or amenities off of there as we get closer. So more than likely, hopefully I can just put an O-ring on here, and what you don't see me take off, we'll just have to you'll just have to watch me reassemble it, and pretty much go from there. Well, this is up close and personal enough. So I'm gonna take that 5mm and just simply just run these fasteners out. I got it loose. That was a 10mm bolt hanging around right there. Alright, so now I got it loose. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put some pressure into the system and move this pipe around. And like I said, it was leaking back over here. You can see where the coolant was trickling from this area. So I'm thinking, yep, I'm definitely sure it's that O-ring now. I'm gonna get you a close up on that joker too. Pull this this off. I got this little air regulator I made, and I just got a little gauge teed off to the side here, and I can see how much air pressure I am administering. So then I'm gonna put the outlet here. Once I add some air pressure, it'll alter. So what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna block the expansion takeoff with the plug. I'm just gonna use my finger, and I can look off to the side over there and see what's happening. You hear air coming out right now. Oh, there you go, right there. So I'll move this hose around, and it's changing. If I push it up, it stops. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna simply just change this O-ring. So all the hose connected to it, I'm gonna go ahead and remove everything that I can get my hands on. So we're gonna take this here off that goes to the reservoir. So what seems to have happened, somebody was back here before replacing some things, and I shouldn't have been able to move this pipe here, but let me see if I can get the camera back here. The bracket that holds the pipe just came off, so that should be sitting back there. But unfortunately it moved, and that's why we got what we got. I'm still going to, I still should just pull this off and replace the O-ring in there, because that O-ring obviously is compromised in some way. So push back, push up on this. I hate these plugs. I just hate Volkswagens. Like it. Alright, so we're going to take this housing. Remove the knock sensor so we have a little bit more clearance. This just detects the detonation or the engine rattle, and it alters the timing. So we have two. She is a little, yeah, she is flat. You can see where it's got a trail right there where it's been leaking. So, like all the whole O-ring is black, but that portion right here is stained. And I don't think that was from me pulling it out and it hitting. I don't think it's from that. Alright, let's replace it. Everything's made of plastic. This is what makes Volkswagen suck ass. So I'm just going to simply remove. You gotta be so delicate with this stuff. I guess the good thing is it doesn't have a tendency to get stuck. Like it'll seize up on the plastic like it would like metal. I'm gonna get this last one in the back. The gasket smashed, you can see it. It's pretty flat. It did come out and I pushed it back in. So I'm still gonna put a new one on here. Better safe than sorry. Somebody was, that's aluminum housing. You damaged the housing, you warped it. So I got a lot of room to move this hose now. Let's see. Alright, so I got my O-ring from O'Reilly's. It is a genuine Volkswagen part. There's the number if anybody gives a crap. And it wasn't no more than, how much did that joker cost? It was $2.10, which is reasonable. Put a little bit of antifreeze on here just to lubricate it, help it go in a little easier. Alright, so we're gonna work on getting the housing back in. I did put a little bit of black glue on just the small film around the gasket and let it cure a little bit so it'll hold it in place so I don't have any issues. So we're gonna work on getting this in there. Here's the main part here. Everything's in there like she's supposed to. That ain't going nowhere. We're good on that. It didn't come with the O-ring for this temp sensor, so I'm gonna put that back in there, the old one. I'm going to just finish this repair up because I don't want to mess up anything, and I definitely don't want this car coming back for any issues. So I'm gonna take my time getting everything back in order, and when I finish, we'll just pressure test coolant system and ensure everything's working appropriately, and we'll get this car sitting on its way. All right, I'm gonna do a pressure test to ensure everything's sealed and working fine, just airtight, so we don't have any leaks. I just pretty much made a T-fitting and just the shut-off valve here, so I'm gonna put some air in here, shut it off, and make sure that the system holds about 10 psi pressure. I do hear air coming out, and it's dropping. So we're gonna look around. All right, it's actually coming from that sensor I installed. I didn't change the gasket in there. All right, just got back from the parts store. Had to go to Advanced Auto and get a coolant temperature sensor O-ring, this joker here. And it's a Pro. It won't no more than, it was $1.60. So I got that. So we're gonna do another air pressure test and just see if it'll hold. And if it holds air, it just tighten up the whole water. So I'm not gonna break my neck over it having leaks. So already it's not pulling out any air or anything. I don't hear anything whizzing like before. So I'm gonna let this sit for 10 minutes and come back to it, and we'll see what happens. All right, after about 10 minutes of sitting, this is what we got. We got about between 9 and 10 psi of air pressure. The car is capable of holding air pressure. If it can hold air, it can hold water. I'm not gonna worry about the little leak that it had. I will say, you gotta take into consideration, I just threw this together, and this is not even like really tight, so I'm not gonna break my neck over it. As long as we don't hear any air pressure like from before, because it was pretty evident it was seeping out pretty bad and we could hear it whizzing. And which wound up being that coolant temperature sensor. I had to replace this O-ring here, which was like the size of a quarter. I think this is the part number here. I wound up getting this from a Pro brand. I got it from Advanced Auto, and don't hold me on it, but it seemed like it's 416 is the part number, but it was a really long number that I had to get. But it's a 13/16 inner diameter and a 1/16 outer diameter O-ring here. So I don't think 416 is going to be the part number here, but we got the dimensions there, and they pull it from I got it in this bag here. So here we are. So as far as labor time, I want to say it took a little bit over 2 hours to have to repair that hose pipe O-ring, and I know for a fact it takes about 0.6 hours to replace the ignition coil, and I want to say a little bit over an hour to replace the not a thermostat, but the bypass or outlet housing that I replaced. So assume that you had to go from start to finish. But so I would assume it's a little over 2 hours to do that hose pipe, and I couldn't really find the labor guide for that. But otherwise, this car's fixed. I want to get this thing done with and out of my life forever because I'm tired of it. I hate Volkswagens with a passion, but you know, it's fixed like all the other ones. So yeah, slowly dropping a little bit, but again, be mindful of my rig here. But other than that, hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, have that reassurance of my work. See you on the next one.